Last night on stream, we did a couple of boss fights in Final Fantasy XI Retail. The question of what, and more importantly, who was going to be our tank came up quite a lot. And it made me realize we haven't done Paladin on the Brady Games guide. Let's get into it. So for those of you who haven't seen these, first of all, we've done like 10 of them. Definitely check them all out. But we read through the Brady Games guide of each job and review its effectiveness and whether or not it would have been good advice back in 2004? Yeah, spring 2004 version. Awesome. Anyways, let's jump right into it. So Paladin. Nothing promotes the image of a defender like the noble paladin. This is a job for those who want to take the defensive warriors to the next level. With the same heavy armor, this job adds white magic and many abilities that are geared towards keeping this character alive under heavy assault. Often taken with the warrior as a support job, paladins become the ultimate tanks with the ability to grab aggro and save parties from suffering considerable pain. That is a perfect description, and I see nothing wrong with it. Flawless Brady Games guide. I think your first 10 out of 10 introduction. Can they keep it going with race choices? Maybe. Paladins eat damage for breakfast.
I'll eat pieces of shit like you for breakfast.
So they enjoy having their vitality, hit points, and some agility when possible, though avoiding hits is never easy. On top of that, sneaking in a few cures can make or break a battle, so a decent magic point count should be considered too. Accurate. Galka Paladins have few detractors because of their ludicrous ability to take punishment and come through without permanent injury. The hit points and vitality of this race ensure a paladin's well-being, and these also make life easier for the healers into the party, who prefer that anyone holding aggro take as little damage as possible. Elvon 2 are able to take hits and keep dishing them out in return. With a bit more strength, these paladins can hold a monster a bit more easily than the Galka. Limited only by their magic point supply, the Elvon paladins are splendid in almost every situation. First two give pretty good reviews. I think they overestimate the amount of hate grabbing ability that a little extra strength will do, but it's not, totally inconsequential. But we're talking the difference between a Galka and an Elvon. Like, come on, it's not going to be game changing. Mithril Paladins can dodge more attacks and have more magic to use, thus keeping just a bit more in reserve for those fights that get out of hand. Dealing somewhat less damage per hit, these Paladins only need to make sure that they don't lose to monster to one of the group's casters. A quick cure too can help with that. Yeah, I mean, it's worded kind of unusually, but ultimately is pretty good advice. Even if they do lose hate, they have extra MP over the Galka or the Elvon to cast an extra spell in theory to grab that hate back. Now, they also have more MP to like regenerate and replenish, so that's a different conversation, but yeah, I like it. They keep saying dodge, which I know you can just evade, and that is part of evade, or agility creates your evasion stat. They keep saying dodge too, and yes, agility helps you evade more attacks, but I wish that they hit on, they may not even have realized, that agility helps you prevent critical hits against you. I'm pretty sure that's a part of the agility stat. Let me know if I'm wrong about that. But I remember that being a thing, and it was kind of critical at some point for Paladins. I mean, I don't think anybody ever went for it specifically, but it was one of the more important stats. I want to say it was like, vitality and hit points, and agility was one of the other big stat boosts that you'd like as a tank. Until, what you can take as a Paladin is inconsequential. It's more about like how much damage you can dish out. Anyways, I've gotten off track. Human Paladins can take damage faster than those with higher vitality. Human Paladins take damage fast. Yeah, they're just saying they take damage faster. But they have more magic to cure with, and the right equipment can do much to compensate for that in the first place. Yeah, I mean, that's good advice. Tartar Paladins look great on the front line. It's surprisingly easy to Tartar Paladins look great on the front line. It is surprisingly easy to maintain a monster's attention because of the magic point supply and frequent cure spells. This is often a good thing, but be sure to keep armor up to date at all costs. I love Tartar Paladin. I was always sorry that I didn't gel and love Paladin as a Tartar, because I tried a couple times and it just sounds so cool. Let me talk about a little bit about the job abilities: Invincible, Holy Circle, Sealed Bash, Sentinel, Cover, Rampart. Good list. The starting attributes of various races, always fascinating. Look at that Galka Vitality. Awesome. 10. Crazy. Job traits: Undead Killer, defense bonus, resist sleep, defense bonus, resist sleep, defense bonus, resist sleep, defense bonus, resist sleep. Awesome. White magic, heavy armor, and dedication. Vana'diel is a place of constant struggle. Those who take arms against the darkness are joined by a common bond. Yet, it is the paladins who are able to heal the injured, protect the weak, and punish misdeeds throughout the land. Punish. I thought it said perish. I was like, oh, sorry paladins, you're done. Just as warriors do, the paladins can bear a monstrous fury without suffering as badly as many others. With heavy armor, a high vitality, and healing magic to extend a fight, paladins can survive what others would hardly dare to tread. That is all, fairly true. Saving white mages from the attention of monsters is a useful and important aspect of this order. By healing and fighting at the same time, it is possible to distract beasts from the even greater threat of lasting magic from those who stand at the back of the party. The greater threat of lasting magic? I have no idea. Are they talking about like just black mages? Anyways, vana'diel is a place of constant struggle. Those who take arms against the darkness are not always equipped to bring life into the world in its stead. It is the order of paladins that shouldered that burden. We are the ones who defend the innocent, heal the weak, and take umbrage at any deed that is impure. If you want to be a paladin, you must accept that our lives are given to another. Should the time come, you must be ready to sacrifice ourselves so that others will live in freedom and joy. When a monster attacks, our duty is to bear the brunt of its fury. Just as warriors, others will expect this of us, and we can give no less. That is true. The last one to run away should be a paladin, every time. And should anyone need healing, we must be there. We respect the order of white mages, for they heal others with that regard for their own safety. But it is we who must arrive to heal the healer and save them from the dangers they face. So shall it be until the end of our days. It's a nice little flavor description of paladin. I like it. All right, then it lists all the spells at the time. Interestingly enough, at this point, raise wasn't given to paladins until 75. It's much lower now, isn't it? I want to say it's like 50. Hang on, I gotta Google this. It's 50 now. Yeah. Huh. Then we go into the extra job quest, which actually is a fun one because the first quest that is involved in the chain, it's one of the few, if not the only, that is actually a chain of quests. Starts at level 10. And I enjoy this because you kind of like grow, you feel like you're growing into Paladin more so than other jobs if you do start that quest at level 10. Or at least lower than 30. Like everything else, you hit 30. Like it's always been kind of strange to me that I could be a warrior, hit level 30, and then do a quest to be summoner, and I just kind of, like I did one quest and there I go. But Paladin, you kind of earn your right to be Paladin in stages if you approach it that way. So cool. Plus you get to go to Ordell's Caves, which is one of the coolest zones in the game. Oh, it even mentions getting around in Devoy. It's pretty dangerous in Devoy when you have a level 30 party and want to complete the Paladin quest. To get into and out of Devoy in safety, stick to the waterways, a fairly direct route, and rely on sneak and invisibility to respectively avoid the Pugils and Orcs. Having a black mage to cast escape on the party at the end of the trip is very nice as well. That is true, Devoy can be very dangerous at level 30. You kind of have to like, watch yourself. Playing as a paladin. Paladins are mostly played as defensive warriors. The primary goal is to create a character with great armor and equipment, and then outlast any enemies in a fight. You won't cause lots of damage, but neither will the monsters that you go against. Certainly this lends paladins towards party fighting instead of solo work, which is very slow. One of the biggest changes from the traditional defensive fighter is the use of white magic. Paladins get a nice dose of healing spells, which is nice whether you're going solo or in a group. When going solo, you can heal between enemy hits if the battle is very close, or heal afterward to avoid risking interruption or losing attack time. Yeah, I mean, it's nice that they mention that, but like the heals and other spell casting is a huge way to grab hate. It's one of Paladin's greatest strengths. You wouldn't really wait till afterwards unless something's attacking like crazy fast. When grouping, use these spells to save healers or other soft targets that take damage. This not only helps the wounded character, but it further improves your chance of retrieving aggro. With a warrior support job for Provoke, it is very easy for paladins to take and hold monsters' attention throughout these skirmishes. Very true. Why people love paladins? They're useful as backup healers. I don't know if that's really why people love paladins, but they can do that. Paladins can distract monsters and cover softer allies. With a higher defense, paladins don't need as many heals from the group's healers. Paladins can engage early in battles without being in greater danger. Oh, true. How long to solo? Not very long. Paladins still suffer from slow battles compared to monks, dragoons, ninja, and many other melee jobs with more offensive potential. Besides that, paladins thrive in a group environment. Players want to have them nearby. Try soloing around level 10 and find a good party as soon as possible. True. Yummy targets. All targets are fairly easy prey for a paladin. Always try to find monsters with low defense or hit points, but be confident that your character can survive with the proper application of healing and downtime. Downtime is the only problem when it comes to using paladin on their own. The fights are long and a difficult encounter will have you down for some time afterwards. Monsters to avoid. Beyond the fear of high-level monsters, there are a few targets that are especially dangerous. You can heal, resist damage, and interrupt casters. Enemies with magic are a tad more dangerous since a paladin's abilities are geared to resist physical damage the most, but a paladin's hit points and combat style should reduce the risk of most encounters. Yeah. Your 2-hour ability. Invincibility has several purposes. Obviously, it protects your character from physical harm like few others. In a pinch, you can use invincibility to negate lots of damage while going after opponents with magic. However, a more interesting note is the secondary effect of invincibility. This power causes monsters to despise you, even if you aren't causing a lot of damage on your own. When a group is in trouble and your party risks losing one of its members, this pulls the attention off other warriors or party members and places it back on your character. Plus, healers and nukers will need that freedom to start spamming their spells while restoring the balance of the fight. Yeah, without really using the word hate, or aggro, or threat table. Yeah, that's 100% accurate. Weapon skills. Paladins have many weapons from which to choose, although they excel with various blades. Even though it may be tempting to grab greatswords, it's wise to consider a sword and shield combo instead. Paladins who want to go all the way toward defense will appreciate the shield for its added protection. Plus, the steady damage of one-handed sword is a tad better for Alvan and Ganka. Aggro-wise, it's a lot easier to keep a monster's attention when you can hit once for light damage than having to wait a long time for a heavy blow. The skills vary with weapon choice, but paladins will most often use their powers to assist in skill chains that other members initiate. Save TP for those instances to ensure effective chains. Yeah, poor paladins rarely got the chance to skill chain in parties because I feel like their TP game was so much slower. It was sort of like, we could schedule our way around that, but then we're gonna slow down the ultimate skill chain, and can you just like wait and do your stuff on your own? Let me know if you did a DD setup as a paladin and how that worked out in parties with skill chains. Being in a party, it isn't hard to find a party as a paladin. People love to have a paladin at the head of the group. In a higher level groups, it's common to see paladins in almost every party. Because this job leans towards leadership, you may want to create parties of your own before long. Let me know if you were a paladin creating your own parties. I'd love to hear this. This takes charisma, intelligence, and a strong feel for the game. Paladin warriors can be pullers, they are a needed job, and it's easy to make friends when you heal and tank to save others. Let me know if you're a paladin that was pulling. I feel like they had to rest a lot. How can I inflict vicious damage? Although a greatsword and some warrior support job abilities help, Paladin won't cause enough damage to satisfy the bloodthirsty types. If you're looking for a deadly melee character, go for a Dark Knight instead. If you want to cause melee damage and heal a little, try a combo like Monk, White Mage, or even Dark Knight, White Mage. However, it's difficult to find the job that deals high damage, tanks wonderfully, and heals. At some point, you have to decide what is most important. Dark Knight, White Mage. We didn't talk about that much. That's a fun one. I can fight undead! Except when specific quests or missions require engagements against the undead, parties for the most part steer clear of undead monsters. Gaining levels from these powerful, resistant monsters is difficult for most characters. With enough white magic in the party, some of these beasts can be taken down safely, but it still costs a lot of mana. The main thing about a paladin's abilities versus undead is that they negate the level discrepancy that otherwise exists between undead and normal monsters. What does that mean? The level discrepancy? They just mean like between Holy Circle and other benefits paladins bring against undead, that like they kind of level the playing field? What is this? They negate the level discrepancy. Fascinating. Equipping items. It's easy to say that what gets purchased first and what to upgrade. Go for the armor. With paladins, you will group early and often, so damage is a secondary matter. Players may expect your character to take hits, so having the best armor for any given level is paramount. Go for the large pieces of armor first, shields, small pieces, and the more expensive peripheral items. With a very high defense, even soloing won't be too difficult. I don't think that's bad advice, but it really had less to do with like, it was whatever piece was going to give you the greatest advantage at the time. If that happened to be a body piece that had a huge defense bonus increase from your current, great. But if it was a couple rings that would give you vitality and like nothing else is really doing anything, I don't know. In general, that's not bad advice, but I think it limits the scope of the conversation. Great swords are an option for dexterous paladins. These weapons will cause decent damage if your character's accuracy is high enough to make it work. Otherwise, use a sword and shield combination to stay safe. Here comes our favorite part, guys. Main and support job. Paladin is a main job. Paladins can be a wonderful choice as either a main job or a support job. Interesting. Either way, this job provides defensive bonuses and a weapon selection that complements warriors perfectly. The downside is that it is almost entirely directly tied into the warrior job, making it the simplest and most widely used choice. You can be a warrior paladin or paladin warrior. There are other options. There are other options. However, they are intended to give players a few good ideas about what other ways to play this interesting job. Warrior Paladin. Has anyone done it? We were talking about this last time. I feel like Paladin as a sub job in general just isn't worth it. At least not back at the 75 era. But let me know if you used it effectively. Paladin Warrior. This is likely the most common in Paladin combination. Many people go directly for this duo by leveling their warrior up to level 30 and switching to Paladin for a clean path to level 50 and beyond. Defender, Provoke, and Double Attack are all available with Warrior as a support job, and each of them have their place in a Paladin's bag of tricks. Because Warriors are effective with one- and two-handed swords alike, nothing is wasted during the leveling process. All true. Here we go. Paladin White Mage. Paladin White Mage is a very skilled undead killer. With plenty of white magic to heal and hurt the unliving, there are many ways to eliminate these abominations. True, nobody likes to level off of undead, but that is why this combination is so strange and interesting. You can take some of the most frightening opponents on directly and come out alive. Anybody doing Paladin White Mage? What about for like solo stuff? I never had a Paladin that was like my highest job. It was like, were you soloing as a Paladin White Mage? Paladin Dark Knight. Sounds like a great idea at first. All the defense of a Paladin, all the power of a Dark Knight. The end result, however, is a warrior without double attack. And true, the blend of these jobs creates a middle-of-the-road character statistically. Without the versatility of a warrior's abilities, this option is difficult to use. The main reason it's mentioned here is because the duo sounds so good that players should know what they are getting into before taking the time to complete both quests. We had one last week, or the last time we did Brady Games Guide, where they listed it just to say don't do this. Interesting. Any Paladin Dark Knights out there? There was a time where Dark Knight sub was one of the biggest hate grabbing effects you could have. But I feel like that wasn't really intended for Paladin mains. Let me know. Paladin is a support job. Most of the extra jobs don't work well in a supporting role, but there are a few that shine here. Many Paladin abilities translate well into a secondary role. Someone who is very happy with their current melee character but wants a more defensive base should give these a try. Warrior Paladin. Instead of leveling a Paladin all the way into a main job, this combination can be used. This results in more hit points, a lower defense, and more aggressiveness. With only a trivial level of healing, this character has only enough white magic to briefly assist party members during critical moments. That's very accurate. You'd basically have a couple cures at best. Beastmaster Paladin. Takes a long time to prepare this character. Beastmaster is the only fully functioning solo job in the game. With Paladin as a support job, Beastmasters have more resources to draw from. The small amount of white magic will still decrease downtime and counter a turn of bad luck while capturing powerful monsters. The added defense is never a bad thing either. I think it's a terrible idea. I think Beastmaster Paladin is one of the worst things we've seen so far. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Well guys, what do you think of the Paladin Brady Games Guide? I think they actually did a really good job. Now you can tell, I've been noticing more and more, you can tell the jobs that they spent a ton of time with and which they barely dabbled into, just purely by the length of the guide. Some of these are only like 2 pages. Some of the more advanced jobs that they clearly didn't spend a lot of time with. But then others, especially the original 6, are like 4 or 5 pages long. They clearly got to 30, 40, 50 beyond. I don't know, something. They spent more time with it at the very least. But yeah, overall, I do think that Paladin was a decent guide from Brady Games. I think their biggest problem remains not really understanding the limitations of the sub-job system and where that might hinder you. Join us on stream every Tuesday and Thursday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time if you'd like to talk about the Brady Games Guide, Final Fantasy 11, or gaming in general. We do play other stuff, but it is often a lot of Final Fantasy 11. And otherwise, guys, I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.
Boom! There it is! What is going on? Yes, dude, there it is! We did that!
Alright, raising Mog.
What is up?
Raising Mog for Telos. I can't cast raise, you got re-raise, alright. Telos is our yours,
Congratulations,
Mog.
guys. Congratulations, dudes. We did it.
I need a